It's like climbing a mountain and finally reaching the peak. At first, you're thrilled. You made it. But instead of enjoying the view, you start scrambling to hold your position, forgetting what inspired you to climb in the first place. Let me tell you a story. Consider, they're two companies. Both sell the same product. Let's say laptops. One company talks about how their laptops are lightweight, have the best processors, and the longest battery life. Pretty standard, right? Now, the other company? They tell you, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. And by the way, we also happen to make amazing laptops. Which company grabs your attention? The second one, right? That's because they started with why. Here's the twist. The why isn't about what you're selling or how you're doing it. It's about the belief that drives you. And here's the secret Simon Sinek discovered. The most successful leaders and companies in the world don't sell what they do. They sell why they do it. Think of Apple, Martin Luther King Jr., or the Wright brothers. None of them were the first to create what they did, but they were the ones who inspired people to believe in their vision. And that's where all the magic happens. So, what's your why? Don't worry if you don't know it yet. Most people don't. But by the end of this story, you might just start to see things differently. Ready? Let's find out why, starting with why can change everything. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you made a big decision at work or in life and thought, yeah, I know why I'm doing this? Probably not too often, right? Most of us jump straight into the what needs to be done, or the how to get it done. We assume we know enough to make it work. But here's the problem. Assumptions can be dangerous. Simon Sinek calls this the assume you know trap. It's when we believe we have all the answers because we're focused on the surface level, the what, and never dig deeper into the why. And when we operate like this, things might work for a while, but they rarely inspire anyone or lead to long-term success. Now, let's look at how most people or businesses try to solve this. They rely on what Sinek calls carrots and sticks. What does that mean? It's all about manipulation. Discounts, promotions, fear tactics, or limited time offers. They all push people to act. Sure, these tricks can get results, but here's the catch. They don't build trust or loyalty. Think about it. Have you ever bought something on sale and then felt zero connection to the brand afterward? That's because they gave you a reason to buy, but not a reason to believe. The truth is, these tactics don't inspire people, they just nudge them. And once the sale ends or the fear wears off, people move on. That's why so many businesses are stuck in a cycle of constantly chasing customers instead of creating fans. So, if carrots and sticks don't work in the long run, what does? It all comes back to why. People don't follow what you do, they follow why you do it. And once you figure that out, you won't need to manipulate anyone. They'll want to stick with you because they believe in what you stand for. The question is, do you know your why? If not, don't worry. We're just getting started. Let's flip the script for a moment. Remember how most people and businesses focus on what they do? Well, Simon Sinek discovered a completely different way to look at things, something he calls the golden circle. Picture 3 rings like a target. The outermost ring is what? This is what you do. Your products, your services, your job. The middle ring is how. Your unique process or the way you do what you do. But the magic lies in the innermost circle, the why. This is your purpose, your belief, the reason you exist beyond just making money. Now, here's the twist. Most people communicate from the outside in. They start with what move to how, and maybe, just maybe, touch on why. But the most successful leaders and organizations, they do the exact opposite. They start with why. Think about this. Apple doesn't say, "We make great computers." Instead, they say, "We believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. Oh, and we happen to make great computers." Their why grabs you emotionally before their what even comes into the picture. But why does this work so well? It's not just a theory. It's rooted in biology. The golden circle aligns perfectly with how our brains are wired. The outer layer, what, connects to the neocortex, the part of the brain responsible for logic and language. It's great for understanding facts and details, but the inner circles, the how and why, connect to the limbic brain. This is where emotions, trust, and decision-making happen. It's why we often say, "This just feels right," even when we can't logically explain it. Your why speaks to the part of the brain that drives behavior. Here's the thing, though. Understanding your why isn't enough. You need clarity about what it is, discipline to act on it through your how, and consistency to show it through your what. Think of it like this. If you use carrots and sticks from before, you're just scratching the surface. But when you operate with clarity, discipline, and consistency, you create something far deeper, a belief that people want to be a part of. That's why the companies and leaders who start with why don't just succeed, they inspire. And when you inspire, you don't just attract customers or employees, you build a movement. So the question isn't just, what do you do? It's, why do you do it? Let's talk about trust. Think about someone you deeply trust, maybe a friend, a mentor, or even a brand you love. Now ask yourself, why do you trust them? Is it because of what they do, or is it something deeper? Here's the thing. Trust doesn't come from flashy ads, clever sales pitches, or even flawless products. It comes from belief. When someone starts with their why, when they communicate their purpose clearly, it resonates with us on a deeper level. It's like saying, "I see the world the way you do." And that shared belief is what creates trust and loyalty. Simon Sinek calls this the emergence of trust, and it's the secret sauce behind inspiring leaders and successful companies. They don't just attract people who need what they have. They attract people who believe what they believe. And once you have trust, loyalty follows. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Trust alone isn't enough to create a movement. For an idea to truly take off, it needs momentum. This is where the law of diffusion of innovation comes in. Imagine a bell curve. On one end, you have the innovators, the people who are always the first to try something new. Right after them come the early adopters, the people who see potential and get on board quickly. Together, these two groups make up about 15 to 20% of the population. Now, here's the tipping point. For an idea to spread, it has to cross into the majority, the early and late majority, who make up the next 70%. But here's the catch. The majority won't move until they see the early adopters do it first. So, what does this have to do with why? Everything? Innovators and early adopters are the ones who are drawn to your why. They believe in your purpose, not just your product. And when they believe, they spread the word. They become your ambassadors, your advocates, your tipping point. Without a clear why, you're left chasing the masses, trying to convince people one by one. But when you start with why, the right people come to you. They don't just buy your product, they buy into your belief. And that's how trust scales into a movement. So here's the big question. Are you speaking to the innovators and early adopters? Are you inspiring trust with your why? Because when you do, the tipping point isn't just possible, It's inevitable. Let's say you figured out your why. You know your purpose, your belief, and what drives you. That's great. But here's the thing. Having a strong why is only the first step. It's not enough to inspire action on its own. You need people who know how to turn that vision into reality. Simon Sinek explains that leaders are the keepers of the why. They set the direction, the purpose, but they can't do it alone. That's where the how people come in. These are the ones who take the big idea and figure out the strategies, processes, and actions to bring it to life. They're the bridge between belief and execution. Without them, even the best why remains just an idea. But here's the trap many organizations fall into. As they grow, they start to focus too much on what they do. Sales numbers, products, or market share. They get caught up in the what and forget about their why. When that happens, something dangerous occurs. They lose their way. Let's take a classic example. Think about a company you once loved, one that had a bold mission and inspired you. Over time, did they start feeling different? Like their products became more about making money than making a difference? That's what happens when the why gets neglected. They start operating like any other company, losing the magic that made them special in the first place. So, how do you avoid this? It all comes down to communication. And here's the surprising part. Communication isn't about talking. It's about listening. Most people think effective communication is about delivering the perfect pitch or saying all the right words. But truly, great leaders know it's not about what they say. It's about how well they listen. When you listen, you understand your audience's needs, beliefs, and emotions. And when you connect with them on that deeper level, your why resonates even stronger. The key is to communicate in a way that shows you understand, not just in a way that promotes your message, because when people feel heard, they don't just follow, they believe. So, here's the lesson. Start with your why, empower the how, and always listen. Because when you rally those who believe in you, they don't just help execute your vision, they amplify it. And that's how great ideas become unstoppable. Success is what we all aim for, right? But here's the twist. Success isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a whole new challenge. Simon Sinek calls this the moment when why goes fuzzy. Think about it. When a company or a person starts with a clear why, they gain momentum. Their passion and purpose attract the right people, and their efforts lead to success. But over time, something sneaky happens. They get so focused on maintaining that success, hitting targets, increasing profits, expanding their reach, that they start focusing more on what they do and less on why they're doing it. It's like climbing a mountain and finally reaching the peak. At first you're thrilled. You made it. But instead of enjoying the view, you start scrambling to hold your position, forgetting what inspired you to climb in the first place. This is when the disconnect begins, and Sinek calls it the split. The why, how, and what that once worked seamlessly together start drifting apart. The how people, the ones responsible for executing the vision, lose touch with the why. The what, the products, the processes, becomes the sole focus. And here's the danger. When the why gets lost, everything else starts to feel off. Customers no longer connect with the brand the way they used to. Employees feel less motivated. Decisions become purely transactional rather than inspired by purpose. Take any company that's fallen from grace, and you'll often see this pattern. They got successful, lost sight of their why, and became just another business chasing numbers. It's not because they didn't work hard. It's because they let the foundation of their belief crumble. So, how do you avoid this? The key is to constantly revisit and reinforce your why. Success isn't the time to get comfortable. It's the time to stay focused. Keep reminding yourself and your team of the purpose that started it all. Stay disciplined in your how and consistent in your what, always keeping them aligned with your why. Because here's the truth, success isn't about climbing to the top and staying there. It's about staying true to your purpose, no matter how high you climb. And when you do that, success isn't just something you achieve. It's something you sustain. Let's take a step back. We've talked a lot about why, but where does it come from? How do we discover our true why? Simon Sinek explains that our why isn't something we create out of thin air. It comes from deep within us, shaped by our past experiences, our values, and the things we've gone through that made us who we are. Think about the things you're passionate about, the causes you care about, or the moments in your life that really shaped you. That's where your why begins. For individuals, this could be a pivotal moment or experience that made you realize what matters most to you. For organizations, it's the shared experiences of its founders, its culture, and its core beliefs. Your why is a reflection of what you've learned, what you stand for, and what you want to create in the world. The challenge, though, is that many of us get so caught up in the day-to-day hustle that we forget to reflect on what drives us. We get so focused on what we need to achieve or how to get there that we lose sight of why we started in the first place. But Sinek encourages us to pause and reflect. If we truly want to inspire others and create lasting impact, we need to understand our why first. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Once you discover your why, you'll realize something powerful. The true competition isn't against other companies or individuals. It's about staying true to your why. Think about it. In a world that's constantly changing and filled with competition, it's easy to get distracted. We chase trends, mimic others, or focus on winning at all costs. But the real competition isn't external, it's internal. It's about staying aligned with your why, no matter what. The greatest challenge isn't beating your competitors, it's staying true to your purpose while navigating success, failure, and everything in between. It's easy to lose sight of your why when everything around you is constantly shifting. But if you stay grounded in your purpose, you won't just survive, you'll thrive. So, ask yourself, what's your why? What drives you at your core? And how can you stay true to it, no matter what challenges come your way? Because, at the end of the day, the competition isn't out there, it's within.